weeds, and they also move soil into the rows and cover weeds.
Knock them out.
Mm-hmm.
Is that gravity alone doing that as you pull?
It's all ground driven.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that
Yeah,
makes sense.
pretty
That makes
simple.
total sense. Yeah, because as this
So-
gets wheeled forward, the next blade comes down and starts busting things up. I
Yeah.
get it. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you can turn them, and so if you, depending on how you tilt them, it's where you move soil and how fast you drive and angles and all that. So.
Yeah.
Depending on how hard the soil is, can you put like additional weight on the things, or is it?
You can on some things, yeah. For cultivation, you pretty much don't have to. Especially this time of year, because I have such control over my moisture. So, for example, this field here, the pepper field, is just beautiful for cultivating because. Well, I'll show you that in a minute. So this I do. So when I was talking about how to harvest the potatoes, this is the undercutter bar. So again, it's just got the weight. It's got weight on it. Bring it in. I use it for harvesting carrots, parsnips, any root crop when I have a lot of them. So it comes in. The tractor comes in here, and it's called a 3-point hitch. So it's got 1, 2, 3 points, and that makes it stable, so it doesn't move anyway. And then this thing goes underground, and by magic, it pushes everything up, and then we have this huge crop of everything that was hidden underground. Carrots, potatoes, garlic, pulls them all right up. So huge time saver. If we're harvesting a lot of carrots, I can get in. Same thing with the potatoes. Just sort of loosens the ground, brings them up. Then my guys, instead of using a pitchfork, they just come in and quickly top them.
And the V chisel is where you break the hard
Careful
pan?
on that. That will. Don't stand on that one. It's not the most stable. It's
that
just
your-
balancing on that. So yeah, be careful there.
Is that for breaking hard pan?
This is, yeah, so this is what I was explaining down there and what happened to this field, why it's sort of got the little ridges. Because we mostly use the rototiller for preparing fields, we do get a little bit of hard pan. So I come in with this, and I mean, you can see I go about 14 inches deep and overlapping, so I get about an 8-inch rip out here, so it breaks up that hard pan. So try to get every field before I cover crop. I like to do this. I like to rip it and then cover crop it. Really gets those cover crop roots down in there, especially in winter. Really gets all that moisture to get down in deeper. And then my rototiller can get in a little deeper too.
Yeah,
So-
and actually that prevents further further accumulation.
Yeah. Yeah. And if I do it every year, hard pan doesn't become a problem. So otherwise the tiller would be a problem if we always used it. But again, that's the same thing, always trying to make sure my moisture is good, not working the soil when it's especially not when it's too wet. So if I work when it's too wet, I'm going to get a hard pan.
It sounds like everything you do is totally tight scheduled. Are you like following charts and calendars and things every day, or is it all in your head? Oh yeah.
Following that sun, the weather, really. I mean, that's yes, charts, and I mean it's all written out on paper. It's all on a calendar. I mean, I have a calendar. I know when I need to be planting. Carrots go in the ground every 3 weeks. Carrots, beets every 3 weeks. Lettuce every other week. Cucumbers about every 3 weeks. Melons every month. You know, I have all that in my head, and then the trick is balancing the fields because I have to start working the fields about a month before I need them. This time of year, that's how long it takes for something to break down if there's a cover. So working on about a month in advance, getting that ready, making sure my moisture's all ready. It's a lot. It's a big. And then also thinking, a lot of it too is thinking about harvest and field work too. What do they need to do if we need to get into a field? It needs to be dry enough to work it. If we're trying to take out weeds, we don't want it super wet. So I'll show you sort of. Hi, Jeff.
Oh, that's the water level? It's low,
We have
I
this
guess.
tank and we have tanks up behind Dan's house that are each 2,000 gallons.
Oh, I
That would
see,
take just as a precaution. Yes, in the event of a huge emergency, I wouldn't mind being here. We have food, we have water.
Yeah, this would be the place to come. Winter or summer, they have vegetables. What's the matter with getting
So you can just start seeing the first. So really, if we can get at stuff when the weeds are just, if you see the weeds, they're just this little, I mean, we call them a thread. They're just this small little size here. It's the perfect time to get at them. This moisture is perfect. It's dry on top. So we can come in and any of these weeds we knock out, they're going to pretty much be gone. It's really easy. So this is sort of what I'm shooting for when I'm thinking about moisture. I'm wanting it to be about like this for them to work. So I'm having to think about that too. Are we going to get into it today? hopefully I am this afternoon. If all goes well, we'll see. So
This is done with a weed whacker or a hoe?
so this used to be done, if you saw Chewy at the beginning, a push hoe, a wheel hoe is what it's called, is usually what we use. But I just got a new tractor on Monday, a cultivating tractor. So I was using it yesterday in the tomatoes. I got it up and running. So hopefully most of this stuff now I'm going to be able to take care of. They're not going to have to come in, which is going to save us a lot of time and a lot of labor. They are pushing the limit right now with what they're doing. We have a lot of picking, a lot of other work that I can't do with the tractor, so I'm going to try to do it with the tractor. But again, if I don't get it though at about this stage, then it's much harder. I'm not going to. So my whole goal with the tractor is coming in. I'm coming in on either side and moving soil basically into the row, and it's all working by covering. I get what almost looks like a weight from a boat with the equipment, and that's just going to cover these weeds lightly, and that's all I have to do. And just disrupt them enough. So if I can get them when they're this small, but if I start missing them, I can't cover these, so we have to then come in by hand with a hoe. I mean, this is fine because it's not in the bed, so these I can actually knock out, but as they start getting bigger, I really can't get them covered well without covering the plants too, so that's why.
Yeah,
In an ideal world, I'd be in here today, but I have a lot of other things to do today. Any of the greens, the kale, chard, none of that gets washed. It all gets just packed into the box.
People wash themselves.
They can. I don't know how many people even do. It's very clean coming out of the field.
Yeah.
Most of that stuff's very clean. We wash beets, carrots,
Yeah, because they're in the dirt.
lettuce.
So they get all
They're in the dirt, yeah. All that stuff we do wash, but
Patronize anything.
but peas, raspberries,
You're accounting or CPA?
any of the we don't wash any of that fruit.
I was a teacher. I have a
Don't wash the
pharmacy, I'm
zucchini.
a realtor now.
Well, that saves some time and labor, doesn't it?
That's a lot.
Really no
Now I
reason to
need
wash it. It
now
comes
I
out of the
need
field
I
so
want an
clean. We throw it
8 to 5
in
job
the
again.
walk
where you have
in,
a paycheck.
Yeah.
take the heat out of it
That's
that
so
way,
nice.
take the field out,
Yep,
heat
so
out in
nice.
the walk in,
I
rather
love
than using
teaching,
cold
but I can
water.
never make
Oh, okay. You're talking about an actual refrigerator.
Yes.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
right
yeah.
now you're a realtor?
Which probably
Yeah,
costs
that's what I-
costs us more energy having to use a
Trying to do
refrigerator,
right
but
now, it's kind of hard.
than if we
Yeah.
used cold water to take some of that
the
heat
whole
out.
world.
But
Oh,
Yeah,
I would
work
think
out
with
a
your fresh
couple
greens, you
properties
really want to
this
do some. Make sure they
we
stay
want to
cold.
keep them dry.
We're
So
kind of picking up
we can store them a lot longer if they're dry too. So.
Yeah.
And most of that stuff, I mean, my pick list is all set up to pick the most fragile things early. So most of those greens are picked by 8 in the morning.
Oh, okay.
They start
Early
at
in the
6 in the
day.
morning. They start at 6, head to the lettuce first, and then on to the chard and kales, and then midday we're picking things like
You must get up
potatoes.
early.
Yeah,
How early do you get up?
I'm
in
up
the
at
morning?
5 every day.
5 in the morning. That's not as bad as 4.
You can make it.
Not as bad as 4. Yeah, pretty much this time of year I work about 5 till 8.
You can make it through the
So you
hard
give
time
up your
period.
nocturnal ways if you're gonna do this.
5 in the morning till 8 at
Problem is
night, not
probably
just 8 in the
95%
morning.
of people that try to get in the hard time.
Oh, that 8 o'clock.
That 8. I love it. I do love it. It doesn't really feel like work.